Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode we're reviewing AEW Double or Nothing for 2022. Before we get into this, we grade everything on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Let's jump right in because this is probably going to be a long video. First from the buy-in, we get Hook and Danhausen versus Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling. I enjoyed this. I thought it was a fun match. I thought it was a good match to put on the buy-in. It definitely would entice people to watch the show, in my opinion. Hook and Danhausen are extremely over. I would not be surprised if they don't get the World Tag Team Championships by the end of the year. There's just something there that's really connecting with the fans. Both characters, both wrestlers connect with the fans. Hookhausen picks up the win here. I'm giving this one a 5. And if you notice, I'm going to be a little more brief on my reviews. I'm going to try to. Because if you watched, you'll understand there's a lot of matches, a lot to cover here. Next up, the first match of the actual pay-per-view proper. We get MJF versus Wardlow. And the elephant in the room was all weekend. Is MJF going to show up? He had skipped the meet and greets. He does show up, gets nuclear heat for showing up. Even does a little airplane thing in the ring. I don't know that this match would have been any different if there was no issues. I think that this was the plan all along. It felt like it got a little bit rushed at times, like they rushed through the steps here. Wardlow totally dominated the match, hits like 10 different power bombs on MJF, picks up the win. They do an injury angle, so I'm guessing that'll be while they try to work out the contract issues that MJF is going through. Much like the pre-show match, I'm giving this one a 5 too. It was just so enjoyable to finally see the Wardlow story pay off. It felt right. It felt like the timing was good. And it felt like we have another major star on our hands here with Wardlow. Now next up for the TBS Championship, we get Jade Cargill versus Anna Jay. Okay, so this match, the match itself was good. I enjoyed it. They both were really good in the match. There was a lot here. To me, it got a little bit overbooked. You had Kiera Hogan coming down, Smart Mark Sterling again, John Silver. The crutch was thrown in. After that, Stokely Hathaway comes out, so apparently he's taking Smart Mark Sterling's place because Sterling keeps messing up. I'm okay with that because I like Sterling focusing on Tony Nese. I think their dynamic together works a little better. I love Stokely Hathaway, so seeing him here, I'm okay with that very much. Then we get, after all of that, Jade picks up the win, Jade Cargill. Then we get Red Velvet out, so now we have 3-on-1, which brings out Chris Statlander, leaves it to 3-on-2. Which brings out Athena, formerly Ember Moon, which is 3-on-3. We get a stare down. This was tremendously overbooked. There was a lot going on here. As excited as I am to see Athena and Stokely in AEW, I think they're going to fit there like a glove to hand. I think they're perfect for this company. Athena's going to bring and boost the shot of star power and talent right into the women's division, which if there's any division that AEW is having some difficulty with, it's the women's division. However, the overbookedness, the amount of people involved, I'm giving it a 3. It was good. I enjoyed it. It just felt like a lot. Coming from that, we have a trios match. Death Triangle, Pac. I always call him Pac. Pac, Penta L0M, and Rey Fenix going up against the House of Black, which is Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, and Brody King. I thought this match was phenomenal. I liked this match. I thought the action was really good in it. I like the ending. And again, this is a little where it differs from the match before. We get a payoff for something that's been building for months now, where Pac looks like he's about to hit the red arrow. Lights go out. Julia Hart's there. Sprays purple mist in Pac's face. Cost Death Triangle the match. House of Black picks up the win. Julia Hart actually finally joins the House of Black, even though it feels like we've been teasing that for 6 months now. And I know it's only been a couple. House of Black do pick up the win. I'm giving this a 5. I love the advancement of the storylines here. I feel like this is kind of a precursor to the Trios Championships that we all know is coming at this point. We just don't know when they're coming. The rumor that I have heard, and I'm sure you've heard as well, is that they're waiting for Kenny Omega to be back so they can make Kenny Omega and the Bucks the first Trios champion. I don't know, with two teams like this that have an abundance of talent and don't seem to have something better to do, I would start it off with one of these two teams and do it now, so you give them something to do before people turn on them and basically give up on them, as fans are known to do. I digress. That's just my opinion. Next up, the finals of the men's Owen Hart tournament. Adam Cole, Bebe, versus Samoa Joe. I liked this match. I thought this match was good. We did get to see a little interference from Bobby Fish. Thought it was a nice, solid match. There was a couple times where I was like, Adam Cole came out in a gear that looked like it was very much inspired by Owen Hart's King of the Ring gear. He looked fantastic in it. I enjoyed this match. I was a little bit surprised that Jay Lethal and Satnam Singh didn't get involved, or Sanjay Dutt. However, Adam Cole still picks up the win here. I'm giving this match a 4. We're followed right away with the women's Owen Hart Cup or Tournament Finals. We have Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho. Right off the bat, we get Britt Baker brought out to the ring with Rich Ward playing guitar from Fozzy. And she's wearing, again, very much pink and black and white Owen-inspired gear. Which, not to be outdone, we get Ruby Soho with Rancid. And I'm going to take a moment here because I love the band Rancid. They're one of my favorite bands of all time. I thought this was an awesome moment for both Ruby and Rancid. I love that together. I know there's a lot of people online that were making fun of Tim Armstrong, who looks like Triple H, or Kratos from God of War. Anyway you go with that. I digress. Ruby has some new gear. Her gear on the back says enough is enough and it's time for the change, which was the Owen Hart Blackheart stuff that he was doing. I really enjoyed this match. I thought Britt and Ruby wrestled. I think they're good against each other. The outcome was kind of telegraphed, if you ask me, when they wore the Owen-inspired gear and Adam Cole won the first match. Britt Baker picks up the win here. I'm not going to hold it against this, but I would have done Ruby Riott winning here. I feel like Britt Baker is starting to get to that point where she's crossing over to be the Charlotte of AEW, Charlotte Flair. And I mean that in a way where it feels like they're going to keep giving her everything. Where they have other women that are extremely talented, Ruby being one of them, that I think could have picked up. Ruby would have got more from winning this than Britt Baker got from winning it. And she would have got more from winning this than Britt Baker would have lost from losing this. So in my opinion, Ruby should have won. The match itself was a 4. I thought it was really good. Afterwards, we get an awesome, I guess, promo from Martha Hart, thanking everybody but with the fans. She looks fantastic. She has her hat on. She says next year everybody's got to wear hats like this, so put that on your calendar. Next Double or Nothing, you have to wear a derby hat per Martha Hart. And she looked very happy to be there. Britt and Adam both looked ecstatic to get the belts and to get the cup. I thought it was an awesome segment. Over the years we've heard that Martha didn't want anything to do with wrestling, but as we see here, maybe it's not that she didn't want anything to do with wrestling, she just didn't want anything to do with WWE, which I could fully understand why. Awesome segment, awesome altogether. Martha went on a little long, but who cares? Let her have it. She's Martha Hart. She's for 20 years, she's not been able to be in wrestling, so let her have her moment. Now coming off of that, we get a mixed six-person trios match. Frankie Kazarian, Tay Conte, and Sammy Guevara versus Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky, and Paige Van Zant. This was a little bit of a letdown, a little bit of a why, to me, and I get it because Paige Van Zant's a major star. This should have been on Rampage, or this should have been on Dynamite, or even Darker Elevation. The match, to me, it was filler on a card that didn't really need filler. It was an okay match. I mean, there was some things in there. Paige Van Zant looks amazing. She looks like she's picking it up very quickly. Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky look amazing as well. Ty Conte and Sammy leaning into their heel characters. I think that's going to go far. Kazarian being there just to be there, I mean, it's part of the thing. The American Top Team Trio wins. Paige Van Zant, Scorpio Sky, and Ethan Page. I'm giving this match a 3. I don't think we didn't need this on this card, to be honest with you. And then the next match, I kind of feel the same way, but I like the match better. Darby Allin versus Kyle O'Reilly. Again, another match where I think this would have been better suited to be a Rampage main event or a Dynamite main event. However, felt like filler on this card. I thought it was a really good match, don't get me wrong with this. There was a moment where Darby looked to have messed up and I got really scared that he injured himself bad, but he was right back up bouncing around like Darby does. Kyle O'Reilly picked up the win here. I'm giving this match a 4. Next up, for the Women's World Championship, we have Thunder Rosa versus Serena Deeb. I wish this match had a better build-up than it did. The build-up, to me, is kind of why the match didn't feel as special. Also, if you've noticed, I've already talked about a lot of stuff. At this part of the show, I started feeling the fatigue of, oh my, this is just keep going on and on. And not that everything wasn't good, it's just that it was just an overload of everything. And that may have taken away from the match for me. Because I thought Rosa and Serena Deeb had a fantastic match. I thought they did well against each other. But I was taken out of it. I felt like I really couldn't stay interested because it was just one of those things where I'm like, can we just get this over with so we can get to the next match? We still had 3 more matches to go. Thunder Rosa picks up the win here. I'm giving this a 4. I thought it was a good match. I think if you would have maybe trimmed this card down a bit, I might have given it a better score here. But alas, it's the marathon aspect of the show really started feeling it right here on this match. Now after that, we get the Anarchy in the arena, and it's the antithesis. We get the Jericho Appreciation Society, Chris Jericho, Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, Jake Hager, and Daniel Garcia versus John Moxley, Daniel Bryan, Santana, Ortiz, and Eddie Kingston. That's a mouthful. I had low expectations going into this, and don't get me wrong, this wasn't the greatest match we'll ever see. This wasn't Gotch versus Hackenschmidt. This wasn't Flair versus Steamboat. However, for what it was, and how ridiculous and crazy it was, it brought me back into the show. It got me back hyped up for the show. I mean, there was just crazy stuff happening all over, from the Wild thing playing over and over again till Jericho destroys the soundboard. Matt Menard's bleeding all over the place. They do a homage to the Tupelo concession stand with mustard and ketchup all over. At one point, Garcia's dragging Eddie Kingston by the belt, and I'm probably saying this all out of order. Santana and Ortiz put 3.0 through tables, coming off a giant ladder. The ring ropes get unhooked. They use that as a weapon. We get to the end where Eddie Kingston comes out with a can of gas and starts dumping it all over both Daniel Bryan and Chris Jericho. Daniel Bryan gets pissed off, gets in Eddie Kingston's face. From that point on, we see it kind of fall apart with their team. The Jericho Appreciation Society picks up the win here. I'm giving this a 5 because it got me right back into it. Like I said, not the best match of all time, but it reminded me a lot of the match at WrestleMania with Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn, where it just felt right where it was in the card, in my opinion. Next up, while they fix the ring, we got a couple backstage segments. Basically, we have Dante Martin saying he wants to challenge Scorpio Sky for the TNT Championship. And then we get then we get Andrade, I just jumped the gun there, saying that he's going to go, the Andrade office, family office, is no longer. He has a new business partner. They let the business partner in. It's Roosh. And I know, I jumped the gun on that. So we get to see Los Ingobernables reuniting. I think it'll be cool if at Forbidden Door we get to see some interaction with them and LIJ, because if you don't know, LIJ came from Naito's time in CMLL with Andrade as La Sombra at that time, and Roosh in a group called Los Ingobernables, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong. So it was a really cool little segment there. Next up, we get the three-way Tag Team Championship match, the Jurassic Express versus Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks, and Keith Lee and Shane Strickland, aka Swerve. I thought this was a good match. I thought it was fun. I do think here it was time to take the tag titles off of Jurassic Express. They feel like they've been falling flat a little bit lately, and I don't know if maybe they're going to keep the titles on them until they get them on Hookhausen. I felt, and it also kind of felt like they were leading to Christian turning on them, which he didn't do, but this would have been the place to do it if he was going to. I thought it was a good match. As you can tell, Jurassic Express picked up the win. Again, I think it would have been if it was up to me, I would have put the titles on Hobbs and Starks. I think they deserve something like that. I think they need that kind of thing to keep them up, because it feels like they've lost every feud they've ever been involved in. So why can't we give them something? They're both amazing in my opinion. Keith Lee and Swerve, they're going to be okay, but they could have been tag champions. I would have been excited for that. All that being said, I did enjoy it. I'm giving it a 4. And finally, we're getting to the last leg of the marathon for the AEW World Championship. Hangman Adam Page versus CM Punk. I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was awesome. CM Punk has a way of making his botches look like they're part of the match and they were supposed to happen. And he did it again here. It looked like he botched the buckshot lariat, and then he made it part of the match. The botch was part of the match. He worked around it. Just a master of his craft. And don't get me wrong, I like Hangman Page, but I felt like it was time for the belt to change. It feels like AEW needed a refresh. And there's a couple things in here that were cool, that kept their refresh going. I would have liked to see the tag titles have changed. I would have liked to see, I do like what they did with Wardlow. Thought that was awesome. I like the new blood coming in with Athena and Stokely Hathaway. Anyway, back to the match. There was a lot of good in the show. I do think AEW was in need of a change, and what's the biggest and easiest way to change it? Change the world champion, the face of the company. CM Punk picks up the win here. I'm giving this a 5. I thought it was really good in my opinion. I think it's the right decision. I see a lot of people are saying that Hangman Page's title reign felt like he got ripped off, but he beat Adam Cole and Kenny Omega, and he beat Bryan Danielson, and he kept the belt for 6 months. We're not talking about a 1 month lose it on his first defense. We're talking about a decent sized run. So I do think they're going to circle back to Hangman Page winning the title again at some point. I think he's going to be a multiple time champion. However, for this time and for what AEW needs as a company, I think it was a perfect time to put the belt on CM Punk, in my opinion. Overall, like I said, there was a lot of stuff I liked on the show. Some things I didn't like. Some matches I didn't agree with. I'm giving the overall show a 5. It was enjoyable. Yes, there were times I was burnt out by how much was on here. I really think that they need to dial it back to a pay-per-view being 3 hours, and maybe give the rest of that other hour and a half. We could put on those special Battle of the Belt shows and make them 2 hours instead of 1 hour. So anyway, I digress. I thought it was a really good show, really fun watch, lots of cool stuff on here. Again, giving the show overall a 5. Let me know what you think down here in the comments. Hit like, share, subscribe if you haven't. And if you made it all the way to the end, let me know put down here in the comments Summer of Punk 3, because I think we're heading into a third Summer of Punk. I think this time it'll be different. This time he's going to be a face, though. But anyway, with all that being said, my name is George Coles, and this has been my review of AEW Double or Nothing 2022.